Hello, Froggy here, and today we'll be breaking the box in Riis-Reborn Approach. We'll be doing this in Deep Stone Crypt using the first Autorez. Naturally, since we're doing an IRB, I need some help. So Avvy is joining, which is pretty appropriate since Avvy found this route. One weird thing that I noticed doing this intro is a little broken. The Guardians get cold randomly, so that's odd. Anyways, we'll be setting our IRB points right away. You'd want to come a little bit to the left of the building you'd normally go into. And we're going to be dying right next to this rock here. You don't want to go against the wall because then you'll spawn inside of a building after the IRB, and while you can escape from it, it's a bit annoying. But it's not the end of the world if you do. Anyways, looks like there were enemies close enough to block my spawn. Hi, Avvy. Anyways, we'll be getting out of map in what has become the usual way here since various other ones have been patched. Going right down here, and then to the left, almost like we're going into the raid, but we'll be going up. One of the innovations that Avvy made to this route is the ability to go up the elevator without having to spend an IRB. We'll be continuing over this way, but that turns this from a double IRB route into a single IRB route, which is rather nice. I'm going to be going through one intangible wall here. The second one is rapidly followed by a real wall, but we can jump up over here. And then once more across. There's a high likelihood you'll be pulled into this Gravlift, but you can just melee or sword out. And here's where the magic happens. We'll be going up into that little crevice. I'm just getting a few more angles here because it's often cold and it can be hard to spot. But before we go up there, it is important that you have your frames sufficiently low. Luckily, 60 FPS works. 30 FPS is a bit better, but that should include all the console folks, so you guys can do this one too. We're going to be going up here. You can get away with using other climbing techniques, either stasis or explosives to launch yourself, but Navigator is preferred given that we'll be breaking the box, and that gives us some freedom. Getting up this last bit can be a bit tricky. Just getting my my grapple back that I lost off screen. You're going to want to grapple up kind of close to the right side where I'm aiming here. The hole is narrower than it appears since we can't actually see a lot of the obstacles. And almost, it was a little bit too far to the left, I think. But you can see the bottom there, which I kind of jumped off of. It is a little bit narrow. So I did not realize at the time, but behind me is another intangible wall that if I had realized was there, I could have just jumped up where I'm going. But alas, I did not, so I'll just be grappling to the top. Let's see, am I lined up with... yeah, I got my grapple back. Yay! So we'll be getting back in the map over here. If you're doing this on something that isn't a Titan, it may be easier for you to just go in the backside of the load. But I like this hole. This is pretty much the first hole involved in the original route to break into Deep Stone Crypt. But it's a bit out of the way, so it quickly lost favor to other holes that have since been patched. Let me up my frame rate again. But yeah, just a little bit of glitching history with that hole, and now we're using it in reverse. This also gives a nice way to get a 6-person fire team up this way if you wanted to for whatever reason. I imagine this load works fine with 6. Sometimes some loads get a bit mad if you bring in more than the expected amount of people. I also tend to get lost around these parts. The game doesn't have you come up this way too often. So I am leaving all this footage in. Anyways, you want to make your way a little bit to the right. And after the, well, first I want to show a little thing here. I find it fascinating how grapple points get pushed around by these Gravlifts. Very odd. Anyways, carrying on. We'll be dipping into Technocrat's iron briefly. And to get there, I need to go through this portal and then to the left. There happens to be a hole in this room, which I don't tend to use, but if you want a mini challenge, you can see if you can find it. You want to make your way to the left here, and I'll show you the hole that I'll be using to get out of the map. It's one I've used before in previous videos, if you're familiar with the office space sort of area. But it's good to use this hole since if you mess up, it is part of the loop to retry. Could just grapple up, but I'm doing this the old school way from before we had nice things like strand grapple. Before height gain was free, we had to worry about such things. Anyways, we'll be hitting this load from behind. Chest pieces over there. Definitely easiest to do a slow approach here. You might get kicked back by a teleport, but if that happens, just do it again. Very easy to retry if you don't die to load. But just need the Autorez now, which you can trigger by killing the enemies around the entrance. And I'm now out. Now just gotta wait for Avvy to do the route, and we'll have the fire team here. Naturally, you could do this with more people as well. Now that we've got Avvy out here, it's time to explore. Just gotta get that res. There's a common thing in this area that there are many sheets of snow to jump above. But before we frolic through that, I'm going to be checking out something that has intrigued me for a long time here. There's this white sphere that houses another part of the map. Also, if you look to the left, you can see another section. It was either what we teleported to, or maybe the path to Aramis. But anyways, we've known this is solid for a while. We had no way to go out and actually touch it. I'm going to keep jumping here to hopefully avoid setting a spawn point and thus avoid the long climb back up. But we can come out here and gaze at the things within. This weird little snowball. I'm just working my way off the side here. But yeah, it is nice to be able to finally come out here and touch this. See the little corridor there to the load. But yeah, getting here was very satisfying and worth the trip by itself. But there is a lot more to check out. So let's get looking. Avvy's got a little bit of a head start. But she also knows the way around the sheets of ceiling better than I do. If you do happen to set your spawn a bit too far in, you'll end up inside of the building to the left, but luckily the top of it is open, so if you end up in there, you can most likely climb your way out. Looks like Avvy is on another sheet. From below, you can't see any of them, which can make it a little bit frustrating. If you end up hitting your head on something, you'll want to go a ways away and you should be able to get through. I think it's on the wrong side here. Oh, there we go. The nav is going through, so hopefully that... Yeah, I made it because I was out of grapple there. For some reason you can swap barricade types without losing the charge, which can help you boost your grenade back if you've got the right armor mods equipped. I think that one is bomber or something? But yeah, let's go check out that landmark over there. It's the same landmark you find yourself working your way towards in much of Deep Stone Crypt. Nice to be able to just fly directly to it. It's almost certainly not solid here, but you never know that for sure until you check. But I gotta say, the very low poly rocks below us now do not give me much hope. Yeah, this is definitely looking like the sort of intangible stuff you see out of, well, far out of bounds a lot. Very low poly, very low texture, but good enough at a distance. The pyramid ship. That one's definitely beyond True Edge, but I don't think this is. Especially since the raid stretches out in this direction. Not sure if the ice could be solid, although now that I'm a little bit closer to it, it's looking awfully flat. So it is probably an intangible layer too. Yep, no ricochets, which is also a bad sign for it being solid. And now we're passing right through it. Might as well poke around a little bit more. We did come all this way. I haven't done much exploring on Europa recently, apart from this, so haven't been enjoying the cool, icy breeze. At least we don't have to worry about it pushing us around. We're not on sparrows, after all. About at the top, and it's kind of fun to ride this thing downwards. Of course, we can go straight through it and see the strange, boxy interior. I miss having the Pyramidion, which had a lot of things like this which you could walk up. Maybe someday we'll get more of Io back. But in the meantime, I guess we've got this Vexy structure to play with. See all the cubey looking ice. Falling always gives a rather nice view on Europa. Oh. Well, let's head off to the city. But first, time for some ammo gen. Want to set your max ammo low while you're alive. And barricades sometimes make it easier to use ricochet rounds on yourself. And then when you're dead, set your max ammo to high. And do that a few more times and your ammo will be back to full. Now that ammo is maxed out, I'm going to be heading towards those buildings in the distance. I'm going to take advantage of Avvy's grapple points to go forwards without having to have my screen flash. That'll come in handy later to speed up some of this footage. Important not to follow too closely when someone's doing that, because if you catch up with them for a moment and touch their feet, they'll start their grapple cooldown and have to do the whole thing over again, which would be unfortunate. It is a long way to that building, but along the way there are some rather nice sights, so stop and look around every once in a while. It's a pretty nice view of where we came from. There are a whole lot of intangible buildings around, but can never hurt to check if they're solid. The ground, too, I've been burned by changes in elevation before, so might make sense to bounce bullets off before you go. Some of that might be solid, but I think that bit isn't. You get a surprisingly nice view from below of everything that's coming up. That sphere again. But yeah, that giant building, the bottom of it looks kind of funny with the zigzag going on. Almost makes it look like a lot of them are just 2D images, but we'll see when we get closer. Avvy will be taking the grapple point lead. And we won't have to deal with this fog for too much longer, as you'll see. We'll be hitting the end of it soon. And there we go, just like a flat sheet of fog, and most of it is gone. This is a fairly long grapple flight. You could use sword to go a lot of the way, especially since you can have infinite sword ammo if you're using that special exotic, whose name eludes me. Ergo Sum, I think? But yeah, when you're following behind grapple points, you want to make sure to always stay a grapple point behind to avoid interfering. That building is so far out. You can start to see a little bit of parallax going on, but still got a ways to go. But at least the views are nice. You can also go up to where those ships are flying around. They're also not solid. Getting pretty close now. Sure would be awkward if we made some sort of mistake, like catching up and then trying to grapple back to the last point, only to fall short and waste our grapple. But still some interesting things to see at this level. Got a blinking light decal. There's actually a lot of light decals going on that hopefully we'll get to see in a bit. Currently trying to bounce off of Avvy's head to regain grapple charge. Although colliding properly in midair can be a bit tricky. if you try to do that sort of thing yourself, I would recommend having one guardian roughly hovering in place as they slowly descend, and the other one descending faster. You see, Avvy just grappled onto me, so now we are both in trouble there. Anyways, let's just fall and see what we've got. The underside of this up close looks perhaps even stranger. I don't even know what's going on here. I'm also not sure how much farther True Edge is. I feel like it's pretty close. Like, I think I hit it not too far along the structure in the past. Not actually sure. Skybox is looking kind of pretty though. Yeah, shame we ran out of grapple. Now I'm gonna have to do that entire flight again. And not for the first time. Alas. Gonna have to gain a bit more ammo. But, oh. Now that's looking real nice. Must be part of the day-night cycle. I don't think I've seen that look that nice before, though. It's fading pretty fast, so I imagine the window for seeing it is quite tight. That's probably worth the trip out here by itself. Yeah, it looks like it is nearly gone, so might as well start that journey again. We'll spare you the flight and just jump ahead to when I'm about there. Hopefully I can keep my grapple going this time. But we've got about the right height to see interesting things. Later on, we'll check out another analog of this dome. I'm not sure if it is the same one, or at least in the same position as you encounter it in the other loads, but we'll get to that later. And I don't know why I just lost my grapple there. Guess we're going by sword. Hopefully I've got enough ammo to make it there, because I don't plan to do that flight again just now. Now you can see the lights that kind of make up the windows here are also floating decals. Really helps sell the 3D effect and makes this building feel a lot larger than it actually is. Although it actually is rather large. Can still fly around here for at least as long as my 10 remaining sword ammo will allow. Hopefully that'll be enough to reach the true edge. And maybe it'll be enough to reach this back wall. Probably stretch it out enough. Don't think we're making it to the supercharge, alas. But yeah, I'm actually really surprised I haven't hit the true edge, so perhaps if you come out here, you can see how far exactly you can go. I'm gonna see if I can reach it in what time I have left here. But yeah, this area has been rather neat, and I would recommend taking a look at it yourself. And in the meantime, Happy exploring.